Stop scrolling. This isn't just another Islamic video. This is your final gentle warning from the one who's been watching you sin quietly, while your soul has been breaking silently. He didn't punish you. He didn't expose you. He just went quiet. And that silence was never peace. It's the last rope before everything falls apart. 1. This sin is costing you your closeness to Allah, and you already feel it. You feel it in Salah, but your heart doesn't rise. You say, Allahu Akbar, but your soul stays still. Your lips move, but your heart no longer follows. The words are there, but the meaning is lost. You recite the Qur'an, but your chest feels hollow. You bow down, but you don't feel humbled. You touch the ground with your forehead, but you don't feel near the throne of Allah. It didn't used to be like this. You remember, don't you? The old you, the one who cried during sujood, the one who used to wake up at night, feeling like Allah was so close, the one who used to shake at the thought of sin, who felt pain when they missed Fajr, who would make dua and believe something would change. Where did that version of you go? What happened to your heart? You still do the rituals. You still say the words. But the soul inside those words is gone. And you already know why. It was that one sin. That private one. The one that became a secret part of your nights. The one you do when the door is locked. When the lights are off. When no one's watching. Except the one you pretend not to see. You told yourself it was temporary. You promised just one more time. You said you'd stop after this week. After this stress. After this heartbreak. After this feeling of loneliness goes away. But you didn't stop. And now, it's no longer a slip. It's a cycle. A comfort. A hidden addiction dressed as relief. And it's not just hurting your hereafter. It's already poisoning your now. It started slow. At first, your salah just felt a little off. Then your du'as felt dry. Then you stopped raising your hands altogether. You lost your hunger for dhikr. You lost your interest in Qur'an. You lost your fear of sin. And you started losing your pain when you sinned. And now, you're just floating. You look fine on the outside. You post Islamic quotes. You still say, Alhamdulillah. You still tell others to have sabr. But behind closed doors, you're in a battle that's eating you alive. And the scariest part? You stopped fighting. Because this sin became familiar. It became your escape. Your stress reliever. Your false friend. You started planning your day around it. You built excuses for it. You started calling it my struggle, instead of calling it what it is, a rope that's pulling you away from Allah. And slowly, you began to feel distant, numb, tired. Your motivation left. Your energy faded. Your barakah disappeared. You feel unchosen, unseen by Allah, unblessed. But here's the truth you won't say out loud. It's not that Allah abandoned you. It's that you keep doing the very thing that invites distance between you and Him. Every time you do it, your soul whispers, "Why are you hurting me again?" But you ignore that voice. You silence it. You distract it. You scroll past it until one day you stop hearing it at all. And when the soul goes silent, that's when you know the real loss has begun. Because you weren't just meant to believe in Allah. You were meant to feel close to Him, to ache for Him, to cry when you feel far, to shake when you sin, to return with desperation when you fall. But this sin has stolen that from you. You don't hate the sin anymore. You hate yourself. And that's even worse. Because now Shaitan doesn't even need to tempt you. You're destroying yourself on autopilot. You keep doing the sin. Not because you love it, but because you don't know how to live without it anymore. You've made it your comfort, your routine, your escape when the world feels too heavy. But what you don't realize is that this sin is the reason you're always heavy. It promises relief, but delivers guilt. It offers pleasure, but leaves shame. It brings silence, but kills peace. And here's the part that cuts deepest. You hate it. You hate who you're becoming. You hate who you're pretending to be. You hate how far you've fallen, but you don't know how to come back. You think it's too late. You think you've crossed the line. You think you've failed too many times. You think Allah is tired of forgiving you. But listen carefully now. If Allah truly wanted to leave you, He wouldn't have let you feel this pain. He wouldn't have let you feel anything at all. Because the worst punishment is not fire. It's when the heart dies and doesn't even care. The fact that you're watching this, that your chest feels tight, that you're thinking about crying right now, that's mercy. That's not shame. That's a divine rope still reaching for you. This isn't just a script. This is Allah speaking to you through it. This is your soul trying to come back to life. It's whispering, "Don't let this sin define me. Don't bury me like this. Please, return before it's too late. You didn't mean for it to grow this deep, but it did. And now it's time to cut it from the root. Not slowly, not eventually. Now, because if you don't stop this sin will stop you. It will stop your faith, your light, your purpose, your closeness to Allah. And one day, you'll wake up so distant, you won't even remember what it felt like to feel chosen by Him. But you don't have to let that happen. You're still here, still breathing, still being warned. That means you're still being loved. 2, you're spiritually bleeding, but you've been numbing the pain. It's written in the way your eyes don't tear anymore, in the way you hear a beautiful reminder and feel nothing move inside you, in the way the Qur'an plays and your chest stays still. You used to be sensitive. One verse, one ayah, one whisper from Allah, and your whole body would tremble. You'd cry while making wudu. You'd cry just thinking about Jannah. You'd cry just because you missed Allah. But now you hear reminders and swipe. Now you sin and yawn. Now you walk past salah time like it's optional. Not because you don't believe, but because your soul is bleeding somewhere deep, and you stopped checking where the blood is coming from. You're spiritually bleeding, and the signs are everywhere. Your energy is low. You sleep too much, and still wake up tired. You laugh with people, and still feel empty. You keep trying to start over, but nothing seems to stick. You keep saying, "I'll change." But every time you fall again, your guilt gets a little quieter, your tears get a little rarer, and your soul gets a little colder. This is how it begins. This is how hearts harden, not through loud disobedience, but through repeated silence after sin. You convince yourself you're okay. You're still praying, right? You still say Alhamdulillah, right? But what's missing is that trembling, that rawness, that pain when you disobey, that urgency to fix it the moment you break. And now you're numb. You still sin, but the voice that used to scream inside, it only whispers now. And sometimes, not at all. You're bleeding, But you've been applying distractions like bandages. You watch videos, scroll endlessly, overeat, oversleep, talk to people who don't remind you of Allah. You joke your pain away, laugh your wounds away. But when you're alone and the noise fades, you feel the bleeding again. You feel it when you try to make dua and the words won't come. You feel it when you stand for salah and it feels like you're just standing. You feel it when the month changes, the year changes, but you haven't. You haven't changed because you stopped letting the pain move you. You numbed it instead. You buried it. You masked it. You avoided it. And the more you numb, the more distant you become from your own soul. It's like there's a wound inside you, crying to be cleaned. But every time it surfaces, you distract it again. You go back to the sin. You go back to the routine. You go back to anything that keeps you from hearing the sound of your own soul. Because if you listened carefully, you'd hear the pain screaming. You'd hear the voice inside begging, "Please, stop breaking me." But you're scared of that voice. So you silence it. And every time you do, you lose a little more of your softness, a little more of your closeness to Allah, a little more of your ability to return. That's what bleeding looks like. It doesn't always feel violent. Sometimes it just feels quiet. But make no mistake, spiritual bleeding can take everything from you. Your peace, your light, your ability to feel anything sacred. And the longer you leave the wound untreated, the more you start to believe this numb version of you is the real you. But it's not. The real you is still alive underneath, still waiting, still aching for closeness to Allah. You just need to stop numbing the pain and finally let it speak. Let it cry. Let it scream. Let it pull you into sujood. Let it become the fuel that brings you back. Because that pain was never your enemy. It was your rope back to the one who heals it all. You're spiritually bleeding, but it's not too late to be revived. 3. Allah doesn't leave you because you sinned, but because you stopped fighting it. Allah doesn't leave you because you fell into sin. He doesn't turn away the moment you slip. He doesn't erase His mercy because you made a mistake. He's Ar-Rahman. He's Al-Halim. He gives time. He sends guilt. He sends whispers. He lets your heart ache, not to punish you, but to pull you back. You sinned, and He still gave you food. You sinned, and He still gave you breath. You sinned, and He still allowed your heart to beat in your chest, waiting for it to return to Him. But something changed. Not in Him. In you. You stopped trying. You stopped crying. You stopped caring. At first, it was one fall. Then it became two. Then you told yourself, "It's okay, I'll make Tawbah soon." But you didn't. And soon, the pain you used to feel after sin turned into a shrug, then into silence. That's when the shift happened. It's not your sin that distances you from Allah. It's your comfort with it, your laziness in repenting, your stubbornness in justifying it. You stopped fearing the nights when you sin. You stopped hating the mornings when you didn't even ask for forgiveness. You made room for the sin. You gave it a place in your life. You stopped fighting. And when you stop fighting, that's when the heart begins to rot. That's when Allah pulls back. Not out of cruelty, but out of divine discipline. Because when you keep choosing the same sin over and over again, you're not just making a mistake, you're making a statement. And that statement says, "Ya Allah, I know this is wrong. I just don't care enough to stop. You may not say those words out loud, but every repeated sin, without guilt, without repentance, without effort to leave it, is saying it for you. And Allah listens to what the tongue doesn't say. He sees the movements of your limbs, and He knows what your patterns are trying to tell Him. He didn't leave you because of your sins. He distanced Himself because you stopped trying to clean them, because you made peace with them, because you stopped showing up broken in front of Him. And He misses that broken version of you, the one who used to cry like a child in sujood, the one who begged, "Ya Allah, I hate this sin, help me leave it," the one who didn't sleep until they begged for mercy. That version felt more alive in their failure than this version feels in their silence. Because Allah doesn't need your perfection, He wants your effort. And when the effort stops, so does the sweetness of the connection. You feel that now, don't you? The way Salah feels like a ritual, the way your soul feels heavy, even when your life looks fine, the way you hear about paradise, but your heart doesn't respond. That's not punishment, that's distance. That's what happens when you stop fighting. You gave up too soon. And Shaitan whispered, "It's just who you are now. It's too late. You've already failed too many times." But none of that is true. What's true is this: you were in a battle, and you dropped your sword. You were climbing out, and you let yourself slide back down. But it's not too late to stand up again, because the moment you start fighting again, Allah comes near again. He loves the sinner who struggles, but He leaves the one who doesn't care anymore. So ask yourself, when was the last time you really fought? When was the last time you cried with shame, instead of just brushing the sin off? When was the last time you begged Allah, like He was your only way out? When was the last time your sin broke you enough to move? Because it's not the sin itself that destroys you. It's when it no longer breaks your heart. It's when you get used to it, when it stops feeling wrong, when you laugh after it, instead of falling to your knees. Allah is not asking you to be sinless. He's asking you to keep fighting, to hate the sin, to feel the sting, to rush back again and again, even if you fall every single day. Because every time you come back broken, He writes you as someone still alive. But if you stop coming back, if you stop caring, if you stop fighting, that's when you truly begin to lose. Not because Allah closed the door, but because you stopped knocking. So knock again, cry again, struggle again. Let the battle hurt. Let it leave scars. Let it take everything you have. Because that's what it means to be forgiven. Not to be perfect, but to keep fighting when your soul wants to surrender. Allah hasn't left you. He's just waiting for you to fight again, so He can come rushing to your side. 4. You've built a routine around the very thing that's breaking you. It didn't start as a routine. It started as a release. You were tired. You were stressed. You were heartbroken. And that sin gave you a moment of escape, a moment of distraction, a moment of silence when everything else was loud. And you told yourself it was temporary. Just once. Just this week. Just until I feel better. Just until I figure things out. But here you are. Weeks passed. Months passed. And now, it's become normal. It's part of your schedule, part of your space, part of your lifestyle. You don't even think about resisting it anymore. You plan around it. You make time for it. You protect it. You used to feel anxious before doing it. Now you feel anxious without it. That's when you know it's become more than just a mistake. It's become your comfort, your escape hatch, your invisible companion. And it's killing you, not loudly, but slowly, quietly, like a poison hidden in sweet water, like fire that feels warm until it eats everything you once loved. You've built a life around the very thing that's breaking you. You make room for it in your day. You shift your energy to make sure it fits in. You avoid people who might confront you about it. You skip reminders that poke your guilt. You silence the parts of you that still know it's wrong. You adjust everything else, just to protect the habit that's tearing your connection with Allah apart. It's not just a sin anymore. It's a system now, a routine, a lifestyle that Allah never wrote for you, but that you built with your own hands. You feel low, you feel far, you feel stuck. But instead of removing the thing that's pulling you down, you've been rearranging your life to accommodate it. You still pray, but faster. Still recite Qur'an, but less often. Still raise your hands in dua, but avoid saying what you really need to. You're not in rebellion. You're in deep denial. You want Allah, but you don't want to leave what's between you and Him. And you're hoping you can have both. That somehow you can keep the sin and still feel close. That you can keep feeding your desires and still walk the path to Jannah. But the truth is painful. You can't carry both. Because every time you give more of yourself to the sin, you take a step back from the light. You make more space for something Allah told you to let go of. You keep defending something that's been attacking your peace. You keep choosing silence over healing, desire over discipline, shame over surrender. And the scariest part? You're getting better at it. You've learned how to hide it, how to move around it, how to act normal after doing it, how to convince yourself, at least I'm not like those who don't pray. Other people sin worse than me. At least I feel guilty after. But guilt isn't transformation. Excuses aren't repentance. Avoidance isn't healing. You don't need more time. You need to stop pretending this sin is harmless. You need to stop calling it your struggle when it's become your safe place. And maybe that's the hardest truth to admit, that you've grown attached to what's harming you, that you keep feeding the habit, that keeps starving your connection to Allah, that you've learned to live with emptiness and even decorate it. You can't heal while protecting what's harming you. You can't change your life while maintaining the one habit that keeps breaking your soul. And if you don't confront it now, it'll keep growing roots. It'll get harder. It'll get darker. It'll become the lens through which you see the world, until you forget what it even felt like to live without it. This sin you've made space for, it's not just affecting your spirituality, it's affecting your energy, your sleep, your mood, your focus, your ability to love, your ability to hear Allah in the quiet moments, your ability to feel peace even after prayer. And you keep asking, why don't I feel Allah anymore? But the answer is already in your hands, already in your phone, already in your browser history, already in your habits, already in your silence. You've built a routine around the very thing that's breaking you. And then you wonder why nothing feels whole anymore. But it's not too late. The walls you built around the sin, they can be torn down. The routines you created, they can be shattered. The identity you tied to the habit, it can be rewritten. But only if you stop protecting what's killing you. Only if you say, Ya Allah, I don't want to live like this anymore. Only if you finally admit, this sin has become too comfortable in my life, and I'm ready to let it go before it becomes my grave. 5. The reason you feel lost is because you're living without divine light. You keep saying, I feel lost. But have you ever truly asked, why? Why you wake up heavy, even when life is fine? Why you smile around people, but feel hollow inside? Why your wins feel empty, and your dua feels dry? Why your days are busy, but your heart stays numb? It's not just sadness. It's not just tiredness. It's not just life. It's darkness. It's spiritual darkness. And you've been living inside it so long, you forgot what light even feels like. You feel lost because you're living without divine light. That light used to guide you. It used to warm your chest when you were alone. It used to soften your heart when you heard the Qur'an. It used to whisper comfort during your worst days. But that light fades when the sin stays. It fades when you start feeding your soul poison and expecting it to stay soft. You keep telling yourself you're fine, that you're just going through a phase, that this is just part of being human. But it's deeper than that. You've been disconnected from Allah, and that's why nothing makes sense anymore. You're trying to navigate life with a heart that hasn't been nourished in weeks, months, maybe even years. And now you feel like a stranger to your own soul. You try to sit in peace, but your thoughts won't stop. You try to feel in salah, but your chest stays closed. You try to make dua, but the words feel forced. And no matter what you chase, what you buy, who you talk to, what you scroll through, nothing fills the gap. Because the truth is, you don't need more pleasure. You don't need more fun. You don't need more people. You need more light. You need divine light, the kind that only comes from closeness to Allah. But you've been replacing it with noise, with stimulation, with habits that make you feel alive for 5 seconds, then leave you empty for 5 hours. You keep escaping into things that leave you darker. You keep asking, why do I feel so far from myself? But the real question is, when was the last time you felt close to Allah? When was the last time your sujood felt like home? The last time you made wudu and felt cleansed on the inside too? The last time you cried during a verse because it felt like it was sent just for you? That's what you're missing. That's the ache you can't name. That's the fog you've been walking in. You feel lost because the map of your life was always meant to be guided by revelation, by Allah's light. And without it, you're just wandering. Every sin pulls you deeper into confusion. Every ignored guilt dims the lamp in your chest. And every delay in Tawbah widens the distance between you and peace. You used to feel everything. Now you feel nothing. And that's not peace. That's a warning. A soul that feels nothing is not safe, because that means the darkness has stayed too long. But here's the mercy. Light is never more powerful than when it enters the deepest night. You don't need to be perfect to feel light again. You just need to stop choosing darkness. You just need to turn back, even with shaking hands, even with a sign-stained soul, even with regrets that still burn inside you. Allah never needed you to be clean. He just needed you to care enough to return, to care enough to break the pattern, to care enough to stop saying, later, soon, maybe one day, and finally say, today. You feel lost because the light has left your path, not because Allah took it from you, but because you stopped walking toward Him. You started walking toward something else. And now that it's broken you, you don't know where to go. So here's the truth you need to hear. You don't need to find a new path. You just need to turn back to the original one you were made for. You were created to walk in light, not flirt with darkness. You were created to rise after falling, not to make your home in sin. You were created to return, not to settle into distance. And the moment you start feeding your soul with divine light again, you'll see it. The fog lifts, the weight drops, the path becomes clear, not because life got easier, but because Allah got closer. And when Allah is near, you don't feel lost anymore. You feel held. You feel known. You feel guided, because the light was never gone. It was just waiting for you to come back and carry it again. 6. When Allah goes quiet, it means you're being warned gently before you're broken loudly. You're not being punished. You're being warned. You're not being destroyed. You're being delayed, stopped, held in a moment before something much worse happens. Because sometimes Allah doesn't take things away loudly. Sometimes He goes quiet. And that's more terrifying than any hardship, because when Allah goes silent, it means the signs didn't wake you up. The guilt didn't move you. The whispers didn't shake you. So now, silence will surround you. And you feel it. You just haven't admitted it yet. The heaviness in your chest. The numbness in your heart. The dullness of everything that used to feel so sacred. You used to feel every ayah. Now they pass by you like water on glass. You used to love Salah. Now it feels like a task you just want to complete and forget. You used to cry in sujood. Now you're unsure what to say, because it feels like no one's listening. But here's what you don't realize. That silence you feel is Allah still speaking to you. He's just not using sound anymore. He's using stillness. He's using distance. He's using the void inside you as a mirror of what happens when you walk too far from Him. It's not revenge. It's mercy. Because Allah could have exposed you. He could have stripped your peace violently. He could have taken everything you love to wake you up. But instead, He gave you silence. Because maybe, just maybe, you'll finally listen in the quiet. But here's the danger. Silence is not forever. It's a rope, a final moment, a divine pause before the consequences catch up. Before the sins you keep repeating start manifesting in your life, in your mind, your relationships, your direction, your future. Because if reminders don't change you, life will. And life is not soft. Life can break what ego refused to bow. So if Allah is being quiet with you, know this: He still sees you. He still hears you. He still loves you enough to not crush you yet. But you're on the edge. And this silence is your final mercy. It's the calm before the storm. A chance to fall before you're forced to shatter. A chance to surrender before the sin writes you into a destiny you never wanted. And you can feel it. The sense that you're slipping. The sense that your faith isn't lost, but it's fading. That your connection isn't dead, but it's flatlining. That your heart isn't sealed, but it's quieter than it should be. You've stopped checking in. You've stopped crying at night. You've stopped fearing what happens when you sin. And that's when Allah's silence becomes loudest. It screams through your emptiness. It echoes in the parts of your day that used to feel full. It lingers in your chest, begging you to wake up before you're broken. Because here's the secret. The worst form of destruction is when Allah lets you succeed in your sin, when He stops holding you back, when He removes the discomfort, when you keep sinning and nothing goes wrong. That's not peace. That's abandonment. That's what happens when your heart becomes too deaf to hear warnings, too blind to see consequences. You think Allah is still with you because life is going fine, but maybe the scariest thing is you're being allowed to live in that sin, so you can fully taste what it feels like to lose Him. And once you taste that darkness, you'll never unfeel it. So don't wait for punishment. Don't wait for exposure. Don't wait for collapse. Don't wait until Allah takes what you love, because that's not necessary. Not if you listen now. Not if you surrender. In the silence. Use the stillness. Use the discomfort. Use the space between you and Him as your reason to fall into sujood and whisper, Ya Allah, please don't go quiet on me. Because if you still feel heavy, you're not lost. If you still feel guilty, you're not dead. If you still care about this silence, Allah hasn't abandoned you yet. But the moment you accept the distance, justify the sin, and pretend you're okay without Him, that's when it gets dangerous, because that's when He might let you go. And when Allah lets someone go, no one can pull them back, except pain. So don't make pain your teacher. Let this silence teach you now. Let this ache move you. Let this fear break you open. And return before your story becomes another one that ended not because Allah pushed them away, but because they never responded when He went quiet. 7. Tawbah is not perfection. It's admitting you've been lying to yourself. You keep thinking you can't make Tawbah because you're not ready. You keep saying, I'll do it when I'm stronger, when I've changed, when I've figured myself out. But the truth is, you're not waiting to change. You're using change as a shield, so you don't have to face the truth. You're not waiting for strength. You're avoiding surrender. Because real Tawbah isn't about being strong. It's about being honest. And honesty is scary. Honesty means you drop the excuses. You stop blaming your past. You stop hiding behind the people who hurt you. You stop pretending like the sin isn't eating you alive. And you finally say, Ya Allah, I've been lying to myself. I keep saying I'll change, but I haven't even tried. I keep crying, but I haven't stopped sinning. I keep asking for your mercy, but I haven't shown you any truth. That's what real Tawbah is. It's not the emotional moment. It's not the tear you post online. It's not a quote you share at midnight. It's the cut you make in your own soul when you finally say, I can't live like this anymore. It's raw. It's ugly. It's desperate. It's real. It's sitting on your prayer mat and admitting, I've been managing this sin, not killing it. I've been editing my conscience to make room for my desires. I've been praying, but not repenting. I've been functioning, but not healing. You don't need to be pure to return. You just need to be tired of faking it. Because deep down, you know you're tired. Tired of pretending this habit is just your struggle. Tired of acting like guilt is enough. Tired of calling it a slip when it's become your second home. You say you love Allah, but you keep building a life where He's barely invited. You say you fear Jahannam, but you keep running toward the fire and calling it warmth. This isn't shame. This is truth. This is the mirror your soul has been avoiding, because it's easier to stay busy than it is to break. But that's the secret. Tawbah requires breaking, not to destroy you, but to remove the version of you that keeps lying, the one that keeps acting like things are not that bad, the one that says soon every day and dies a little each night. You've been lying to yourself in the most dangerous way, by thinking you have time. But time doesn't guarantee Tawbah. Only truth does. And truth is something you've been running from. You dress up the sin. You cover it in justifications. You turn down the volume of your guilt. You silence the inner scream. And you keep walking like nothing's wrong. But everything's wrong. Because the more you lie to yourself, the harder it is to hear Allah. And soon, your lies become your identity. You start to believe your own excuses. You start to say things like, "I'm just weak. I'll always be this way. Maybe I'm not chosen. Maybe I'm too far gone." No, you're not too far gone. You're just too used to being dishonest with your soul. And that's what Tawbah asks of you. Not perfection, not consistency, not strength. Truth. The kind of truth that makes you cry not out of guilt, but out of relief. Because you're finally not pretending anymore. You're finally not lying to yourself. You're finally not blaming your childhood, your heartbreak, your trauma, your circumstances. You're just saying, "Ya Allah, I've messed up, and I don't even know who I am anymore. But I know who you are, and I know you still want me back." That's Tawbah. It's not when you change. It's when you finally break the wall between you and your conscience. When you stop showing up with filters in front of the one who already sees everything. You think you're hiding from Allah. You've only been hiding from yourself. He saw the sin. He saw the pattern. He saw how many times you fell. And yet, He still woke you up today. Still let you find this message. Still hasn't exposed you. Still hasn't sealed your heart. Still hasn't shut the door. What more do you need to realize? That this is not the time for perfection. It's the time for honesty. So be real now. Say it. Ya Allah, I've been lying to myself. Ya Allah, I've been too proud to admit I'm weak. Ya Allah, I kept waiting to become perfect, and in the process, I lost who I was supposed to be. Ya Allah, forgive me, not because I deserve it, but because I can't live like this anymore. That's the beginning of healing. That's Tawbah. That's where Allah meets you. Not at the peak of your piety, but at the bottom of your breakdown. That's where angels write your name again, as someone who returned, not because you were flawless, but because you finally told the truth. 8. You're not too far. You're just one real Tawbah away from feeling Him again. You keep thinking, "It's too late for me. I've fallen too many times. I've failed too much. I've gone too far." But what you don't realize is, distance from Allah isn't measured in miles. It's measured in one heartbeat, one breath of regret, one tear of truth, one sujood of surrender. You're not too far. You're just one real Tawbah away. Not the kind you whisper in passing. Not the kind you say out of habit. Not the kind that sounds good in your notes app or Instagram post. Real Tawbah. The kind that makes you cry before you even open your mouth. The kind that makes you feel the weight of every delayed return. The kind that makes your chest shake because your soul finally stopped running. You've spent so long convincing yourself Allah is tired of you. But that was never Him speaking. That was Shaitan. Because the real Allah, the one who created you, watched you fall and still hid you from the world. He's been waiting. He's not distant because you sinned. He's distant because you gave up trying to come back. But the distance ends the second you do one thing. Turn back. That's it. Not perfect yourself. Not erase your past. Not pray 1,000 rakahs. Just turn. And when you do, Allah doesn't walk toward you. He runs. The angels don't judge you. They celebrate. And the door you thought was locked, it never was. You just stopped knocking. Because no matter how dark your nights get, no matter how addicted you feel, no matter how fake you've become with people, Allah knows the real you. The you under the sin. The you who still misses Him. The you who wants to be close again, but doesn't know how. Let me remind you how. Start ugly. Start broken. Start right now. Don't wait to be better. Be honest. Don't wait to feel ready. Be real. Allah is not asking you to come back clean. He's asking you to come back truthful. Tell Him everything. Ya Allah, I keep doing this sin, and I hate it. Ya Allah, I don't want to run anymore. Ya Allah, I miss what it felt like to be close to you. That's Tawbah. That's the moment your name gets written again, among the ones who returned. And all the nights you wasted, they'll be rewritten as lessons. All the shame you carried, it will turn into mercy. All the filth you feel, it will be washed clean. The angels will wonder who this purified soul even is. Because when Allah forgives you, He doesn't just erase the sin, He erases the damage, the rust, the regret, the heaviness, and He gives you light again. Not just in the next life, but now. You'll feel it in your chest. You'll feel it in your salah. You'll feel it in your dua when you whisper His name and feel like someone is finally listening. You'll feel it when you wake up and the sky looks different. When you pray and the words mean something again. When you cry and it finally feels like healing, not just hurting. Because Tawbah is not just an apology. It's a rebirth. You're not just saying sorry. You're stepping back into the light. You're breathing again. You're alive again. So don't waste another day thinking you're too far. The only thing keeping you distant is the lie that you can't return. And you can, right now, exactly how you are. Even with your past, even with your addiction, even with your mess, even with the guilt still stuck in your throat. You are one moment away from feeling Him again. One sujood away from rewriting your entire story. One sincere tear away from being loved again, like you never left. That's how close you are. So come back. Don't wait to be someone better. Be someone broken. And let that be the reason Allah holds you closer than ever before. Because He didn't bring you this far just to leave you now. You're not too far. You're just one real Tawbah away. And He's already listening. You're not here by accident. You didn't scroll to this point by chance. Your soul was brought here because Allah hasn't given up on you. You're tired, I know. But your pain isn't proof that Allah left. It's proof that your heart still remembers Him. And that means it's not too late. One real Tawbah, one sincere tear, one honest sujood can reopen a door you thought was sealed forever. Allah is not done with you. He never was. So before you close this video, don't walk away like nothing happened. Talk to Him. Cry to Him. Return to Him. He's been silent, but only because He's waiting for your voice to rise again. You're not too far. You're just one real moment away, and He's still listening.